How exactly do you plan a fall of hunts for 4 people across multiple states very carefully? What's up, guys? It's Eric from Late to the Game Outdoors, and today we are digging into my process. It's not for everybody, but it works for me, and how I lay out my entire fall hunting season, including my family, which is getting more complicated by the year. So here, my particular situation. I live in Arizona. I try to hunt as much as humanly possible, and I also have 4 hunters under my roof at this point. So there is me, my wife, my oldest, who's been hunting for a few years now, and now my middle son just became 10 and is just jacked out of his mind to start hunting. There is a 5th one of us in the family, but she is too young and wildly disinterested in anything having to do with killing an animal, so she may never join the ranks. But there are 4 of us, all with different points saved up, and I've got my points as well as my out-of-state plans, and it's just a complicated mess, and there's just no way to really go on every hunt I would want to go on over the course of a year while also working and being an engaged father and all those things. So I just want to take you through today how I approach that, sort of the strategies I use, how I use some of the GOHUNT tools that really help advanced planning and keeps to a minimum some of those surprises, and certainly keeps me from having 2 tags that are, simultaneously, and I just have to pick or cut both of them short or any sort of messes like that. Almost always prevents that unless there's one of those crazy, hey, I never thought I would draw that tag and somehow I did. So here's the strategy I use. It does involve a pad of paper and keeping notes on units and hunt dates and all that stuff. But I try from let's zoom out and do the meta level of everything. I try to prioritize family, my family's hunts. I try as much as possible, try to make them have the first priority. I get to hunt an absurd amount of days a year compared to most people, and I'm very blessed by that, and I don't want to cheat my wife and kids out of their chances to hunt. So I try to prioritize the family. Obviously, the schedule. I am blessed with a very flexible work situation, but I still have to work. So I can't just check out and be well, next 90 days, I'm gone. That doesn't work. So I've got to juggle around some of that. And then obviously the budget issue, which is not sexy to talk about, but is a reality. There are only so many dollars that can go towards tags and food and gas. And so sometimes a hunting decision will come down to, hey, I can't do both of these hunts. Which one's the higher priority? And then the 4th category I look at, and this is in that order, I try to weigh the potential for success and just the fun and the passion behind it. So I love all hunting. I get excited about any tag I have. Doesn't matter. But all of us hunters, we have those particular hunts, species, weapons, seasons, whatever it is. There are those hunts where you're just oh, I would love to do that every year. That is just above and beyond. If I had to pick my favorite hunt, it's that one. And that's a legitimate thing to factor in. So I'm trying to weigh hunts that are still fun, that I'm still excited about, but have a high enough odds of success that I can more or less count on some meat in the freezer, because our family tries to live off of game meat the best that we can. And so there need to be a few of those hunts where it's okay, I'm going to get a good crack at an animal, and then also allowing myself to have some of those, hey, odds are pretty good I'm not going to tag out, but I want to go give it a shot. I love this hunt. So all of that framework being said, here's kind of step-by-step how I start to line out the calendar and figure out what's going on and how all the GOHUNT tools play into that. So I start with multiple tabs open, and the calendar, I clear everything else off the calendar. So all I'm looking at are hunts at this point. And just kind of to start going through the year, I start with Arizona. Obviously, that's where I live. That's where the tags are cheapest. At this point, I have not taken my family on any out-of-state hunts. So in the next couple of years, I'll probably start looking at that for my oldest son in particular. But as of now, everybody else under my roof only hunts Arizona. So I start there and I start dropping in like the over-the-counter stuff. So the fall bear, there is an earlier fall bear season, but we'll get into why that usually doesn't end up on my calendar. But fall bear is going to be there. I definitely want to put some time into that. And then I start, as I'm going through the Go Hunt, I'm starting to figure out, like I said, I prioritize family. So what are my kids and my wife going to draw? Gibson, he's my 10-year-old. He's got like a 50-50 shot of drawing this deer tag. So I dropped it on the calendar because it's a great hunt. It's a great unit. It's where I killed my first deer. It's a good setup for us most years, as long as the deer do what they're supposed to do, which largely depends on moisture levels. But good first hunt for that guy. And then this late rifle elk tag. So I start dropping those things on to make sure that my kids and wife are taken care of. And the way that I figure out that these are the hunts that are going on there is a couple different ways. So some of it depends. In Go Hunt, there's if you go into the tools, there's the filtering 2.0, which starts at this page. Then there is the draw odds, which starts at this page. I use the draw odds probably more than the filtering 2.0 at this phase, just because I'm trying to figure out what tags are likely to show up in our family's lives that I need to make sure are on the calendar. So I will just come in here to Arizona, and right now it is very beginning of February. Our antelope and elk applications are due next in like a week and change. So I've got to figure all that out. But while I'm doing that, I'm also looking at the whole fall. So we don't have to put in for deer until like April, but I'm trying to map all that stuff out anyway. So to start with, I'll come in here with elk, and one of my favorite things I just started using this year is the point tracker, which lets you load multiple hunters. So I've got all of my hunters right here. I've got their points updated. So I'll come in with Sarah, my wife, who has the most elk points of any of us right now. And I know that she's not a bow hunter. She hunts with rifle. She hates when it's cold, but also likes when there are tags. So I'll click both early and late rifle, because what I'll see over here, it just highlights the column. And I know that early rifle, it's the coveted tags. Her odds are abysmal, pretty much across the board. But if I come down to late rifle, there are a couple, like she's got 50-50 on this one. She could draw this one, but there's actually a good reason why she could draw that one. That's probably not a great hunt. But all of that to say, I come in here and start to see like, okay, I not only start to write down on the pad, like, okay, I think like these are some good hunts. Like this unit, this season, she's got some decent odds, and it's still a pretty decent hunt. But I also, for the overall calendar, the family strategy, I get to like look at, okay, like 45% is not bad. Like she could very realistically draw that tag. I'm not going to put her in for that 100% one. If I do see 100% in here, like, oh, that's a hunt that I would want her to go on, or she would enjoy that hunt, and it has 100%, then yeah, definitely I'm putting her in. It's going on the calendar. Like I know that hunt is happening. So there's enough here that I think, you know what, that late rifle elk hunt should go on the calendar. So I drop it there. Maybe it's my wife. Maybe she passes it to one of the boys. Maybe she actually doesn't draw it. But there's some promise there that I'm gonna put her in for, see what happens. Obviously, if I go to my other kids, there is not. Hendrik just burned his elk points last year. Shot his first elk. It was a cow. He was pumped. And like your classic 14-year-old boy is already like, oh, that was awesome. I think I want to go shoot a bull. Like he's already like, okay, I've done the cow thing. I'm done with it. Let's go get something bigger. So he's his odds with 1 point in Arizona, not great. I'll still put him in for some stuff, but I'm not counting on him drawing a tag necessarily this year. And Gibson, who's just starting out, has his one little hunter safety point and just needs to start building some points. While we're talking about elk, head over to me, sitting on 3 points, and I actually don't really want to rifle hunt elk. I absolutely adore archery elk hunting, and archery elk is a little different for me in Arizona because it's really more of a family hunt. So as much work as I do digging into different states, different units, all that, all the options that are out there. For Arizona archery elk, it's more than just a hunt. It's the first hunt I ever went on when my father-in-law first welcomed me into the family. And it's a hunt where me, my father-in-law, my brother-in-law, my uncle-in-law, we all just go in on the same application, same units every year. It's just, hey, this is where we like to elk hunt. We're going to put in for it. If we don't draw it, we'll wait till next year. And on average, it seems like we pull it about every 4 years. So at this point, we're 2 years in, and it's not, I mean, statistically speaking, I've got like a 9% chance of drawing it, but I had 9% on the antelope tag I drew last year. So it is possible, but not likely. But here's what this means for me. I go ahead and I drop the Arizona archery elk dates in my calendar anyway, because I know that I want to hunt elk with my bow in September. The beauty is that Arizona's draw is so early, I can find out if I have that tag, and if I don't, which statistically is likely, I still have time to make plans and figure out, okay, am I going to Colorado, Utah, Idaho? Like, where am I going to go pick up either an easier to draw tag or an over-the-counter or something like that? I actually have some plans this year to go back to where I first started hunting out of state in Colorado. It's a special wilderness, a special area. I think I'm going with my buddy Josh. It's also an area that's special to him, but that's a whole separate story we'll get into when that hunt happens. But I drop it on the calendar anyway. So best case scenario, I've got the Arizona tag. Worst case, I don't, and I still know, like, maybe it's not these exact dates, but somewhere around here, I'm chasing elk with my bow. So that is all of that stuff. And then other than this, I'm going to do a separate video specifically on this. This is a hunt for me, AZ rifle Coues deer, because I am sitting on an absurd amount of points. And so this is where I actually click over to the filtering 2.0. And I come in here and I pick Coues deer because, and it's got me, so it knows that I have 5 points right now. I was saving for a while because in my head I wanted to do this archery kaibab deer hunt, which is cool. The kaibab is a legendary deer spot, but having driven through it this past year for the first time ever, like actually getting eyes on it, and then just like, it's not the type of terrain I typically like to bow hunt. Like it's not super spot and stocky. I'm sure there are spots you can do it, but it's just a little more like thick timber kind of stuff. And then the more I thought about it, the more I thought I chase deer with my bow every year. Like, it's an over-the-counter tag. And while it's not the kaibab, like, there is endless opportunity. Do I really want to burn 5 points on another archery tag? Or would I rather get myself like a solid rifle Coues deer opportunity? And that's sort of what I decided. So I come in here to the filtering just because I'm like, what do I even have as an option? And I can slide that all the way to what can I draw this year with my 5 points for a Coues deer. If I'm not a trophy guy, but I could start like, oh, I want only really big bucks, and it'll filter some stuff out. I don't care. I just want a good hunt. Okay, so I'll come in here, make sure I'm only looking at rifle tags, and boom, there I go. Like a bunch of good options in good Coues units I can get out and chase with my rifle. Odds go way up. Personally, I am leaning more towards the October hunt, having just had the December tag. So if you're an Arizona guy, there's a lot of hullabaloo made about the December rifle tag. It opens up like first, second week of December, runs to the end of the year. And the theory is that you get to chase bucks in the rut with your rifle. That might possibly be true in some spots at the very end of the season. Most everyone I talk to, everything I've seen personally in the field, the deer around here in most places really don't start ramping up till January. And so December, they're still pretty bachelored up, and they're just... You don't have that much of an advantage in most spots. I know some of you may have like this honey hole of a December spot where, you know, bucks are just pushing does everywhere. I'm not saying it doesn't happen. I'm just saying it doesn't seem to happen as ubiquitously as a lot of people say around here. So that has me leaning more towards, why don't I do the October hunt? It's a little earlier. It's a little nicer out. I can find where the bucks are bachelored up, and while they're not, you know, moving around all day like they are during the rut, again, I don't think that is happening in most spots in December. That's not what my boys and I saw when my son just had that tag. We saw does every time we were out. could not pick up a buck to save our lives. So why not just hunt before they've even messed with does? Just find the bachelor groups, because in theory at that point it's so early, you can just, if you find them, they're there. Like you can just know, throw a blanket on them, like they'll be there. So that is what I'm leaning towards, and I've got all these great options to look at it. I could even, like, if I wanted to specify those dates, it would further whittle it down. But I need to do some more digging into exactly what units I want to put in for. But I know I'm going to draw this tag, so it goes on the calendar. That is most of Arizona. It covers the family, covers the other stuff. The other couple of like outliers that get factored in, at least for this specific year, and this is pretty indicative of any other year. Like I said, if I've got this Arizona elk tag, I may not go to Colorado because I don't need to hunt elk twice. And maybe that'll free up some time and funds to go do high country mule deer with my buddy Josh again in Utah. I did that in 21. It was awesome. It was a hugely steep learning curve. No pun intended. The mountains were also very steep. And would love to go back and try to give that a better run than I feel like I gave it the first time. But if I'm heading to Colorado about within a couple weeks, I know as flexible as my work is, I've got like a trip right in here that I just simply can't move. And I have a family. I have kids. Like, while I do have work to do, I also don't want to be that dad who's just like, hey, you're not going to see me much for the next 3 months. Like, that's not reality. So I need to plan buffer time and time to be around, spend time with my kids and my wife and all of that. So as I look at this, it's probably not likely that I'm going to Utah and Colorado. So either I'll draw the Arizona tag, leave Colorado on the shelf, do Utah. Okay, one last tool related to what I was just talking about. The hunt planner that they just added, which is cool. I obviously haven't built anything yet. So we'll just call this, oh goodness. There, that's a whitetail. It's not a coos, but we'll call it a whitetail. So created, awesome, find seasons, and then it takes you into Insider. So I come in here, it's got all that same stuff I looked at, the points, and then as I'm scrolling through, I can see something that looks promising, that I like, oh, okay, I am intrigued by, like I said, I was looking at this unit draw odds, they're 100, okay, it put it into that one. That one of all the things, let's move it to 100. So whittles some things down, but then I have, I could draw either of these in this unit. I know that unit. I don't know that I want to go looking for coos in it, but I'll just put it in there anyway, and I'll save that one too. Been over there's some coos country in there, obviously because it's in here. So just like add that one to it. Cool. Now head into back into the main hunt planner page. And after it loads, I've got my rifle coos hunt. Here we go. Here are all these, I just threw those 4 different hunts in there. And now I can start getting some stats side by side, buck to doe ratios. I can compare those. How much public land, that's lots. It's one of the things I love about Arizona. Even the applications, I know it says 100%, but it just sort of helps, how popular is this unit, which is both good and bad. It's popular. Sometimes units are popular just because they're close, or because there's legends from a decade ago that they're just full of giant deer. Sometimes they're popular because no, there's deer everywhere. This is where you want to hunt. So, messing with some of that. But like I said, if I'm in the success versus the fun, I can look at, oh dang, success way up from some of these other ones. So depending on what you're looking for, as you start to compare those things, you're like, oh, okay. It starts to bring some top runners or front runners to the top of the list. That's what I was trying to say. So that I know that there are other ways to use these tools. There's more to them than I even showed here. I am in this pretty regularly, and I still keep finding stuff that like, oh, that I didn't know that was there, or I could do this, or this is a smarter way to do it. So I continue learning, in terms of planning and juggling this calendar. Honestly, like GoHunt is a big part of it. So it makes it so much easier to not just like throw a bunch of applications out and then on the back end try to figure out how to do all the hunts. Like you can actually methodically plan. I am doing this, I am doing that, I'm probably doing that, or if I'm not doing that, I have this backup where I can definitely go do that. And as you're trying to juggle 4 different hunting schedules along with all the other life schedules, it's just been crucial for me. So guys, I hope something in here was helpful, give you like at least an idea or a tool you didn't realize, or something that's going to help make your life a little easier as you try to juggle everything you want to do with everything you need to do. And however many hunting schedules are represented in your household, maybe this helps. If you are not a GOHUNT Insider yet and you're intrigued, like, oh, those actually look useful, I actually have a code that'll get you some instant credit in their gear shop, which is just packed full of awesome gear. So there's a link below where you can go use the code LATE at checkout. It'll get you free money towards gear and your Insider membership, which comes with maps and everything we just talked about here. It's super cool. If you want to see a couple of the hunts that I talked about here from previous years, I'll just throw a couple links over here that you can watch those, enjoy, all the usual stuff, like, subscribe, comment, all that good stuff. And yeah, we'll see you guys next time.